Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan-favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Hello, mate. It's me, Rusty the Sports Clown. Just kidding, I don't speak French. Check me out, it's gonna be so much fun. See ya.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Red Menace TV here on Proview Networks, Channel 26. Leroy Lucero, along with Michael Carlisle. Seems like we've done this before.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like deja vu.
And speaking of done this before, one of the OGs of Red Menace TV, one of the original gangsters, or original Lobos, OL, I guess. That'd be an old lineman. Rudy Chavez. Welcome, Rudy C. Welcome back to Red Menace TV. Obviously, we're in the new set and everything else, but...
it's been a long time, but it's great to be back.
Yeah, awesome.
It's been a long time, but until about 6 months ago, you were still in the open.
I got to talk to my agent because all of a sudden I went away, and I'm like, hey, time to get back down there, get back on TV.
So, Rudy, obviously, everyone knows you as Everything Lobo. One of the biggest, if not the most vocal and loudest fans as far as Lobo sports go, and not just Lobo football, but Lobo basketball, Lobo baseball, soccer. I'm sure you've been to softball games.
Volleyball.
You've probably been to swim meets, volleyballs, and did you even go to the ski meets when they? Well, I guess they're back. So
yeah,
have you attended a ski meet?
Actually, I have. You know, you go up to Taos Ski Valley, and you can see where they do the collegiate meet, and if you're up there that weekend, yeah, you have to go by. You have to watch the UNM ski team. I'm glad that they restored the funding, but now you got to find funding.
Right.
So that's the next big project.
Question: when you're watching the ski stuff, because it's cold, obviously there's snow on the ground. Do you have like a little something like a little flask? Is that allowed at the?
Oh yeah, I mean, skiing is it's a European sport, so you see people there with flasks. They used to call them Taos guzzlers, but people actually had ski poles. You could put schnapps in.
Really?
Yeah, you'd see people putting their ski pole up like that, and you knew exactly what was going on.
If you needed motivation to support the ski team, there you go.
Exactly. I did float an idea, though, and I think it's worthy of discussion even here about asking the ski areas to just charge $1 and donate that dollar to the UNM ski program.
Yeah.
To me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, somebody from Minnesota who comes out here to ski,
sure.
What's the difference between $92 and $93?
That's absolutely right. I think you're right, and I think for locals, And doesn't the ski, don't they benefit from having the ski team here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Ski New Mexico as an industry, you know, benefits a lot from having the New Mexico Lobos travel around the nation and ski. And they wear their colors, and they have the Lobo wolf head on their uniform. So to me, you know, it was a shame that they had to drop it, but I understand finances too.
It's $1.
It is.
It's $1. And you're a ski guy. People that ski, they're not afraid to spend the money.
No, and I was trying to run the numbers, and I think there were almost 600,000 skiers in New Mexico last year. I'd have to check. I didn't check before.
Total that went to these resorts, or
to the resorts and skied what they call a ski day.
Okay.
So if you skied one day,
you get charged an extra $1.
Right.
Not a bad deal.
And there you go, 600,000 people, $1 a person. There's your funding.
there's your funding.
So obviously the big news at UNM for the past couple of years, probably forever, but really for the past couple of years has been funding. We had Paul Krebs on. We had Paul Weir on. He talked about football having to become the king. He goes, that's the way it is everywhere else in the country. Football brings in the money for everybody else. He goes, here it's basketball, but we need to change that. I thought that was interesting, hearing a basketball coach
Any smart
do that.
Well, I'm just going to say it
Say
this
that.
way: any smart basketball coach, any coach out there that understands intercollegiate athletics, major college athletics, D1 athletics, knows that football really drives the bus. I mean, you look at schools like my other alma mater, Michigan. You don't have a budget issue, but every time you tee it up, you're $17 million in the black. You know, and that's probably low.
Right.
But if you take 115,000 people times an average ticket of $100, do the math.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I approached Paul Krebs
Yes.
and the athletic department about doing what we're calling the Business Alliance package.
Okay.
And this is for Lobo football, and it's an amazing deal. So if you're a businessman, for $1,000, you're going to get $1,000 worth of advertising because your advertising on Lobo Alliance website is covered as part of this deal. You get 10 tickets and 2 parking passes for Lobo football. And there it is up there. People can see it, and they can get interested. If you have, for instance, employees, whatever, potential customers,
Right.
anybody, hey, you want to go to a game.
Sure.
And right down there at the bottom, you see the games. Abilene Christian is the first game. New Mexico State, Air Force is coming in, Colorado State, Utah State, and UNLV. So if you move up for the Tier 2 Pro Alliance, as you see, for $3,000, excuse me, you get 20 tickets. And if you look on the map, the yellow areas, that's the silver sections.
That's pretty
and those
good.
are highlighted. And you get a membership to the Lobo Club included with that package. Tier 3, the Silver Elite Alliance member, and you can see all the benefits that you get there, including a Lobo Club membership of $1,000. You get 30 guests to come onto the field. Everybody wants to go on the football
Sure,
field,
yeah.
you know, before the game. You get a letter of recognitions and a signed football from Coach Davey. At the $3,000 level, you get a signed jersey. And for $1,000, you get a letter of recognition from head coach Bob Davey. These are really exciting things, and if you're a businessman out there and you're interested, not only can you call the number at the bottom, but I'll give you my number and I'll shoot it out there for people. And it's the easiest number in the world, 321-4567, 505-321-4567. So if you're interested in any of these packages, hit me up, hit UNM up. Joe Gerling is the guy to talk to.
Right.
And he will get you set up with these exciting packages. They're great seats. It's a way to reward, like I say, your customers, your employees, or maybe yourself.
Absolutely. And you know, when people talk about fundraising, money for the athletic department, football is that sleeping giant. You know, even when attendance is down at basketball, you're still got a pretty full pit. When attendance is down at football, there's a lot of empty seats. There's a lot of room for growth there. The team has been good the last 2 years, 2 straight years going to a bowl. They won the Gildan New Mexico Bowl last year. Now's the time to jump on board with Lobo football.
Absolutely. And when you look at it, if you're a businessman, write off the $1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
As advertising.
Yeah.
Or take business people and you can write off the tickets. I'm not going to sit here and give tax advice, but you know, that's for your CPA. But there's a way to maximize your benefits on this. But the biggest thing is it's to get people in the stadium. And you know, last year I tugged and twisted, and finally got a couple of friends to go to the Wyoming game.
Right. It was a great game.
They call me up afterwards and they go, "When's the next game?" I'm like, "Sorry, that's the last game of the year." "Oh, but wait, there's a bowl game."
Yeah.
So they attended the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. Well, he's a business owner and he's considering the tickets. So
well, it's obviously a great deal. I mean, you mentioned $1,000 for a game. How much does a season ticket cost at Michigan? You're in the area that you're talking about.
I don't think you can touch a season ticket for $1,000 at Michigan. First of all, to even get access to the ticket, you have to be in the Victors Club. So you have to donate at least probably $2,000 a year to have a shot at a ticket. And then you get in line, and it's a 100,000 seat stadium. So yeah, there's a lot of room for growth, and this is the year to do it. And you never know. You know, if you're a businessman out there, you're probably going to have me knocking on your door. I think I got your boss on the list somewhere.
Okay. There you go.
I'm going to hit him.
Well,
up.
it's funny, or not funny, haha, but funny that, you know, last year was the biggest year I think in Lobo football in a long time. I mean, you know, you're coming off the Gildan New Mexico Bowl the year previously. Recruiting is up. They're winning games. They're beating teams that we hadn't been beating.
Beat
for
Boise.
years.
Yeah.
In Boise.
Right. I mean, there was like some excitement.
I mean, Mike, you were there.
Yeah.
And I don't think to this day people in Boise, they still can't believe it happened.
Absolutely.
Because they are so used to winning no matter what. They are so used to winning on that field. To only lose 4 times in 200 games, that's amazing. And UNM did it. They pulled it off. So that they joined a list of very few people who have ever won in that place.
So, we mentioned a little bit about the ski team and the dollar. I mean, the ski team, when they first were brought back, the first thing that the guys started writing is like, "Hey, ski team's back, help us out, buy Lobo football tickets."
Yeah. Right.
Paul Weir's talking about buy Lobo football tickets. Ray Birmingham's talking about buy Lobo football tickets.
Well, let's do it this way. Let's say the pit's sold out, 15,000. People go, "Great." If you get 15,000 at a football game, everybody goes, "It's half empty."
Right.
So the key is football, but now there is a product. And I understand people out there, and I understand, 40 years, and I understand that, but I think anybody who's paid attention to what Coach Davey's doing, and watch next year, and I'm looking at the home schedule, and, I think UNM could go undefeated at home.
And here's the other thing. I mean, you mentioned what'd you call it, drinking out of your ski pole?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that at University Stadium,
No.
or I'm sorry, Dream Style Stadium anymore. They sell alcohol right there on the premise. You can buy some beer, you can buy some wine. You can enjoy yourself a coldie at the football game. They've tried to make it as fan-friendly, I think, as possible.
And it is. And that's why I think the last piece of the puzzle is getting people to go to the games. I'll never forget what Coach Flanagan said to get Lobo women's basketball going. Because there were like 100 people, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a big crowd before Flanagan got here. And he used to say it, and I'll say it about Lobo football, just come to one game. Just one game. And if you don't like it, if you didn't have fun, then don't come back.
Right.
But I'll bet you'll be back.
Yeah, kids enjoy it. I enjoy it. I'm dying for season to start. It's a great time. It's been a great time for years. Rudy, I want to switch gears a little bit off of this and just talk a little Lobo athletics, if you will. Lobo baseball, what a crushing end to this, what was started off as a great season.
Well, and I'm not going to cry because, they won the regular season Mountain West
that's true.
Championship. That's the 7th time in 10 years that they've been regular season champs or tournament champions. So, what they have to do is raise the level of the conference because New Mexico had a really high RPI, and what killed them at the end of the year was losing those games to Fresno State, whose RPI was like 232.
Right.
San Diego State, they were the next highest at 97. All these teams need to play better schedules to up the RPI so that if UNM lost and they lost in the tournament, they still should have had that large consideration. And it didn't end well, but you know what? The kids fought, and really the season came down to that 9-8 loss to San Diego State in the tournament. If they didn't drop those fly balls and they win that game, they win the tournament. They had to beat San Diego State to really keep themselves up. Losing Jack Zellner, who was the co-MVP of the conference, he was batting, I think, 376 with 12 or 14 home runs, I can't remember. Luis Gonzalez, who's your starting third-day pitcher, starting center fielder, leadoff hitter, batting, I think he was 356.
Something like that.
And he was on a tear, and he unfortunately doesn't make grades.
Yeah.
And that's your season, really. And it's a shame because the team fights hard. They really represent New Mexico well, and they'll be back.
Yeah.
And if anybody's irrepressible, it's Ray Birmingham.
Yeah.
In fact, I talked to him just the other day, and he said, how are you doing? And I said, no, I called to see how you were doing. He goes, I'm great. He said, I'm great. We're going to win it again next year.
No, one of the most awesome coaches in Lobo history, any sport. Real quick, I know you've talked to Coach Weir. Good guy, nice guy. I see things picking up for Lobo basketball.
Yeah, you know what? Here's what I see in Coach Weir, and I think everybody who's paid attention to him and talked to him sees in him, he's an educator. Because look at what he's done.
Right.
You don't get your undergraduate degree, 3 masters, and sitting for a PhD because you don't know how to study and you don't know how to learn. And so more than anything, and I snuck in a couple of practices, and he says it the same way every time.
Right.
So that you get it the same way every time, so that you learn it.
Right, drives that point home.
He's a really good basketball teacher, basketball mind. His coaches do the same thing. They reinforce good habits, they break bad habits. They don't let little details go. And you see good coaches do that. Do it again. You know, do it the right way. I'm not going to let you slide by doing it that way. Look at my favorite story of any basketball coach was John Wooden. Remember? He would start every season by tying your shoes.
Right.
Bill Walton tied his shoes the same way every season for 4 years. And he said it got boring, but that's how you start.
Yeah. So everything seems to be going well in the athletic department except for softball, right?
Softball, we're going to get a new coach. Look at golf. Yeah. They finished 26th. Too bad. No, I mean, you make the NCAAs, you make the NCAA finals, you finish 26th in the nation. That's a heck of a golf program. I think everything's rocking along. You know, the fallout from what's going on with Scotland Gate,
Yeah.
I guess. Is that what it's
called?
Scotland
Golf
Gate,
Gate?
yeah.
Scotland Gate.
Why does everybody got to have a gate in front
It just
of
does.
Because it's not trendy or chic if you don't. I think that's going to come out okay. You know, I know more about that situation, and it's not my place to sit here and talk about that because I'm not investigating and I'm not involved. But from what I know, being involved in UNM athletics for 35 years as a booster, I think it's a tempest in a teapot. And I think it really goes back to a lot of dissatisfaction just in general with people who make money. It seems like
I think there's part of that. I think another huge part of that was that basketball wasn't so good for the past couple of years. I think there's a little bit of rub on that as well. You know, even at the time when the Scotland trip went up or was going on, I mean, Lobo basketball was still pretty relevant at that point.
Sure.
Craig Neal wasn't as despised as he ended up as he walked out. Everything seemed to be going okay. It wasn't a big deal. It's funny how 2 years later, all of a sudden we have, Neal's gone. The governor says we're not going to give the higher education any money, so all of a sudden we're broke. All these things are going on, and it's like all of a sudden we're going to go back and try to find out where we lost all this money 2 years ago or whatever the situation is, and you come up with this deal. I mean, it's just interesting how we're going back now 2 years. When do we? How far do we go back now? I mean, do we go back to Davalos? Do we go back to how do you pronounce his name?
Koenig. Well, you know,
I mean, how far back do you want to go? I mean,
well, I'll tell you this much. You know, I know Paul. I know Paul personally. I've known him for years. He's not a crook. And if you want to know a crook and meet a crook, I met him, and his name was John Koenig. and really, and this is a true story. And my good friend Adam Teicher, who was at the Tribune, is the one who took Koenig down. And he made a Freedom of Information request and found out that Koenig was charging everything on the Lobo Club credit card,
Right.
and then filing false public vouchers.
okay.
Okay, and he brought in his own accountant. They've been through 3 or 4 controls at UNM and control people. I'm confident that there was no crime committed.
Yeah, that's the way I feel too.
I would say, that being said, I do think there's a perception by some that money was used inappropriately. So, you know, if you're confident that nothing happened, the investigation will bear that out. And I think that actually will help restore confidence in the athletic program.
Yeah, and that's why I don't mind Hector Balderas. And if there is something, and a crime was committed, then Balderas is going to say so, or Tim Keller, the auditor, will say so.
Right.
And that's why you have to let the process run its course. I mean, people saying this is going to happen or that's going to happen on any particular timeline really don't know. They don't know. Unless they're Rob Dowdy, the president of the Board of Regents, is leaking information, and I highly doubt that. He's a lawyer. I think he knows how to keep a secret.
Oh my gosh, it's starting to sound like national politics. We got leakers, we've got crimes, not crimes, smoke. Is there any there? I'm beginning to feel like I'm on Fox News now instead of Red Menace TV.
Yeah, and I look forward though to a prompt investigation.
Yeah, I mean, just let the investigation play out and see what happens. And I'm sure if it got hot enough, Krebs would probably fall on his sword if he had to.
Well, as you remember in the Koenig instance, or maybe you don't, he got indicted, and so did his CFO, Terry Hearn, who he brought in to try to hide what he was doing. And that's why I say I don't think you can, in this day and age, hide anything.
No, there's nothing hidden anymore. Anyways, let's go back to something positive. Once again, the number is 321-4567 to contact Rudy C. 2017 Lobo Football Business Alliance packages. You have $1,000 package, $3,000 package, a $5,000 package. It's time to fill Dream Style Stadium and get some folks in there. That way when Michael Carlisle's up high, you're up high, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When you're looking down, you see bodies and people jumping around and having a good time, and there's a roar that you can hear.
Exactly.
Absolutely. They're excellent seats. Hit me up, 321-4567, or call that number at the bottom and ask for Joe. Excellent.
Rudy C., thanks for being part of today's show. We'll be back right after this with Micah Frankel and CageMinds.com.
Touch inside. This comes across. It's dangerous. And it's an own goal.
Good ball in. It's an excellent delivery, just missed, and then pouncing on the rebound. We've got to run into the box. Cross coming in, and it's in. With a header. Tatiana Limon climbs the ladder back into the game for the injured Kuiper. Rubio to Limon. Limon 2-1. Rush have come from behind. Sent in, head on, Bynum's got the finish, it's 3-0. It was the center back who originally got his head on it, Keen Garcia. Tough touch, up forward, Moen behind him but takes a touch, he can have one, wants to cut back on the right foot, Moen, yes, it's 2-0, and the substitutes coming through. Tabatos in the 18. And Barros plays it off for Starr. It's 3-0. And the shot in corner pocket. 2-0 is your score. Chipped ball through for Johnny Barros. Keeper coming up. Did you get it? Oh, and it's in. That is a goal for Johnny Barros. And a shot, yes indeed.
Good. Sent in, it is dangerous. The head, yes, off the post, and it's Crump. And it's 2-1. Josephine Crump, you couldn't have written it any better. Great ball, just on like Moen tries to go through. Moen's going to get it back, sends it across. That's dangerous. It's going to score. A cross that turns into a gorgeous shot.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but 2 great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Hoops New Mexico Basketball Courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Altitude Sports Grill is where Albuquerque's sports fans won't miss a game. With locally crafted brews on tap and refreshingly crisp cocktails. Located in Hotel Cascada, Albuquerque residents find a staycation worth staying for. Catching Lobo sports, enjoying a beer on the beach, or wiping out, Hotel Cascada is home to your urban adventure. Affordable guest rooms, no-hassle water park parties, and much more.
Welcome to the place where we talk about people getting punched in the face. Caged Minds, and I'm Micah Frankel. This past weekend, the UFC was in Stockholm, Sweden. The main event had Alexander Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, the number 1 and 2 ranked contenders in the light heavyweight division. Gustafsson just dismantled Teixeira with length, with distance, with combinations. It was an impressive performance. Now joining me this week here at the desk, we have another amateur from the Jackson Wink Academy, I believe, sitting at 4-1.
Yeah.
Matt Bilal Fitzpatrick, how you doing, sir?
Not bad, not bad. You know, enjoying the time to come out here and do this interview with you guys.
Thank you. This weekend, did you get to watch that main event from Stockholm?
I did. It was an extremely impressive performance. Gustafsson is one of those guys that, you know, he uses his range so well. And I feel like there's not a lot of guys in the division that could handle that type of pressure that he brings. You know, he's very long with his shots. He's very long with his distance, with his kicks. You know, he holds heavy pressure standing forward and standing back. You don't see a lot of guys in the division that could throw strikes coming forward and striking backwards.
As a fighter, was it frustrating for you? It was frustrating to me watch some of the times that he would sprint away from Teixeira, because I don't knock the getting out of trouble when your back is against the fence. It was just my thought that instead of a giant circle that he was making in his sprint, if he would have done a shorter one, he still could have got to the same perspective, turned around Teixeira, and maybe been more offensive in putting Teixeira on his back foot. What did you think of that?
You know, this is combat sports, man. This is MMA. To be honest with you, you know, you can't knock the guy, man. You got a huge guy coming at you with heavy hands, you know, knockout power. You know, I fought guys before previously with knockout power, and it's a scary thing, man. Like, to be honest with you, man, you have this guy trying to take your head off, man, training this entire camp, trying to beat this one perspective, this one guy, this one style setup. So, you know, I don't knock him for running, but, you know, the fans don't like to see it, nor do other fighters like to see it. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do to win. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Like I said, it's a bad optical, and I thought I could see the intent, the effectiveness, where the game plan came in. Just thought he could have did it a little bit better to put Teixeira on his back feet, even though we're just nitpicking little bits out of a tremendous performance. Take my hat off to him. You can leave yours on. It looks good. But we also
hope so.
this weekend, the UFC back in action from Stockholm, Sweden to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Max Holloway, Jose Aldo, unification of the 145-pound title. As long as both of us have been watching MMA, Jose Aldo has ran that division, I believe.
Yeah, you know, this is a matchup I've been seeing coming up for years. I just had a feeling, you know, I remember when Max actually fought my old coach, Dennis Bermudez. And Dennis won by, I believe it was split decision, but it was such a close fight, man. And he was only, I think, 20 or 21 years of age at the time. So to see him be so high level at such a young age, I knew he was going to progress tremendously throughout his career, especially in the UFC, man. You guys have guys all the time so hungry in this sport, always wanting to be the best. And when you surround yourself with the best, you only become the best, you know. So this Jose Aldo and Holloway fight, I saw it coming for years. But to be honest with you, I see Holloway taking Aldo out. I really do, to be honest with you. Aldo is just getting older. You know, I have nothing but respect for him. He's a champion. He ran the division. What do you go, 10 years undefeated?
10 years undefeated, 7 consecutive title defenses. But Matt is echoing the sentiments of a lot of fighters I've talked to recently. A lot of people feel too many wars, too long in the teeth, too much length from Holloway. Yeah. Not to mention, I think he does the best body work in the featherweight division. He's able to switch up his targets better than a lot of these guys, those long limbs for decision. A lot of people expect the changing of the guard, and I believe you're on that boat too.
Yeah, you know, Aldo, if we put Aldo in his prime and we put Holloway in his prime, I think Aldo is just too vicious. He brings too much of a threat. He's a killer be killed type of guy, but you know, your chin starts to weaken up as you get older, man. The weight cuts become harder. You know, just the drive isn't there as much. You want it as bad as you want it, but your body doesn't want to take it to that full extent sometimes. So, you know, I feel like Holloway has the youth over him. He has the reach. He's really crispy with his, striking, his distance. And I just think it's his time now, you know. Jose Aldo already had his time, and now he's got to hand the torch down, you know.
This fight's going to be contested on the feet. They're going to bang it out. Yeah. I think it's a pick'em fight. The pro fighters are telling me Holloway, so I got to go that way too. The co-main event going to be another exciting one. I'm not sure because you work with the amateur class a lot, but were you able to see Claudia? I know Claudia Gadelha taking on Karolina Kolakiewicz, the co-main event. Claudia did a lot of sparring at the Jackson Wink Academy. Did you get to see her this camp?
Yeah, I actually did see her this camp. She actually is looking really smooth. Really calm, collected, really focusing on her technique. I've noticed something that she's definitely changed a lot is, you know, a lot of the times in her fights, you know, at least, you know, you see on UFC Embedded, you see her grinding, and I feel in this camp she's grinding, but she's focusing more on the technique, the aspect of maybe what she sees as her holes in her game. She's been doing nothing but perfecting them this entire camp, you know. I have the pleasure of training with the best guys in the world, you know, during the amateur class and as well as the pro class during sparring. You know, I try to focus on the pro class during fight camps, and then outside of fight camps, keep my body healthy. I continue to spar with the amateurs, and during camp, I like to do the pro class sparring with all those guys. But Claudia is just looking really sharp. She has a drive that I haven't really seen in her since her previous fight. I feel like this is her fight. This is easily could be a finish, honestly.
A big weekend for mixed martial arts. Saturday night, you got to check out UFC 212. Also, to touch on it real quick, Friday, there's a ton of events. During the day, Russia is a hotbed for MMA. You have EFN Fight Night 68 on UFC Fight Pass. You also have M1 Global online. Check both of those out in Russia Friday during the day. You also have LFA 13 that night. Now, we brought Matt here, obviously, to talk about him. 4-1 as an amateur. Obviously not a native New Mexican, though, so let's start off there. How did you end up coming to the Jackson Wink Academy from home, and where is home?
Okay, so basically I came to Jackson Wink. So what happened was I was living in New York before this with my mother and my 2 brothers and my aunt. You know, my brother did kickboxing growing up. He was just about to have his first fight. He ended up, I think, breaking his leg or breaking his arm. He broke something, and he just realized, you know, this isn't for me, man. I'm putting in so much work and I'm getting hurt. Like, maybe this isn't for me. He finished up culinary school and went full-time as a chef. And then from chef, he went to security. So he was going back and forth with stuff. Me and my brother were really close. And my mom wasn't doing too well money-wise, you know. She might not like to hear that, but it's the truth. And she was struggling a lot. So I said to myself, man, what could I do to make money? What could I do to get my family out of the dump, get them out of the gutter, you know? And I just had an itch for combat sports. I was doing flow skating, which is semi-pro skateboarding. And I was with Globe Skate Shoes and all these different big companies skating all over, doing tournaments and stuff like that. And I really had that itch to fight. You know, my brother did it. You know, and I'm Irish, man. So like we have that drive. We have that non-stop pressure in your face, and we love to fight. You know, it's in our blood. And you know, my brother started it, and he handed me the torch. You know, we used to order the pay-per-views for UFC. Me and my brothers back in the living room. When my mom would go out, we'd order the UFC fight pay-per-views, and we'd just watch the fights. And I became really obsessive over it. I wanted to do it all the time. I wanted to watch it all the time. If I wasn't watching on the TV, I was watching on YouTube. If it wasn't on YouTube, I was watching on Netflix. If it wasn't Netflix, you know, it was Hulu. I was always finding a way to watch these fights. I became obsessive. I went into a gym at the age of 15, MMA gym at the age of like 15. You know, some Taekwondo, some American kickboxing, you know, some grappling classes, wrestling classes. I didn't have a base. I didn't really have a base necessarily. So after that, you know, my cousin moved from Belfast, Ireland, out to New York. And then a year later, I got the opportunity to come out here to Jackson Wink. I came out, I took it with open hands, said, let's take the risk. I was actually engaged at the time, so I lost my fiance taking the risk to come out here. She wasn't ready to move out here. It turned into a big situation. We had joint bank accounts. This whole big ideal situation happened, and it didn't work out in my favor. So I said, "You're already here, man. Take the risk." I took the risk, and the happiest thing I could have done and the best thing I could have done was coming out here. You know, I'm training with the best guys in the world. I walk into the doors every day. I see Holly Holm busting her ass. I see John Jones putting in the work, about to beat DC. You know, we got Diego Sanchez, who's been one of my closest mates since I've been here. A brother, honestly, a brother to me. You know, just so much inspiration between even the amateurs, man. The amateurs, the pros, the coaches, just inspirations, you know. You got Coach Joey who teaches us in the amateur class, and you know, he fought Robbie Lawler, you know, back in the day. You know, you look back and you see all these former champions and these people with such drive and such dedication to their passion, and now they're handing over the torch to us, and now it's our time, you know.
4-1 as an amateur. A lot of people say they'll take a fight any place, anytime. Let me tell you guys, at Jackson Wink Fight Night 1, at the Fight Week press conference, as the card is falling apart, as we need guys to step up, I'm walking out of the press conference, and I bump shoulders with Matt, and I grab him by the hand, and I take him to the promoter, and you fight against Brendan Trujillo. A couple days later, you get the victory, a hard-fought fight. Tell us about that from your perspective, taking a fight on days' notice and what that fight was like.
Yeah, it was actually funny because, you know, I was actually out of the gym for about 2 weeks before the fight happened with the flu. So I was sitting bedside wearing my house slippers, just chilling out. I was actually watching Warrior. And I was looking through Facebook, scrolling through Facebook, and I see this opportunity saying, hey, will someone step up and fight Brendan Trujillo at Jackson Fight Night on this so-and-so date. I know it's short notice, but his guy pulled out, and he's trained really hard for this camp and sold a lot of tickets. Can someone help us out, please? Now, I haven't fought for now 11 months because I tore my shoulder. So this was a comeback fight. This was a fight where I just came off the flu. You know, I chugged a bottle of flu medication and drove over to the gym. I said, hey, Misha, the Jackson Wink manager, I said, hey, let me see that contract, you know, and he goes, yeah, what's up? I was like, I'll sign that contract, let's fight. And he goes, yeah, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, you know. So I ended up fighting him, you know, I think it was about 36 hours notice. I cut 22 pounds in 24 hours, sucked out, and I looked Brendan Trujillo dead in the eyes. And like they say, man, the eyes never lie. So I saw him, he saw me, and I knew it was time to fight, you know. I'm ready for this, man. I was born to do this. I'm trying to make my mark in this sport, all combat sports. So I'm ready for any type of fighter, any type of opponent, whether he's tall, skinny, short, stocky, wrestler, grappler. I fought them all, so it doesn't bother me.
We're going to run out of time in this segment before I can ask all the questions I want to. But real quick, last thing to touch on it. You've had a Twitter beef going back and forth with a specific fighter. You think you're going to get signed to Bellator?
This year could definitely be my year. I know there's a lot of shit talk going back and forth, but, you know, the bottom line is Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, you know, what happened basically was, you know, James Gallagher, he fights at a SBG, Straight Blast Gym in Ireland. My cousin was training out of that gym for a really long time, so he's pretty close with James. And, you know, John has invited me out to SBG before, you know, and that's gonna be my secondary gym. You know, during fight camps, I'll do a few weeks there and a few weeks here at Jackson Wink. And, you know, I just felt it was really disrespectful. You know, Anthony Pretty Boy had something to say about James. He said, oh, I beat up James and now I'll beat up another Irish boy. And last time I checked, you know, James choked him out. So I just thought that was pretty funny. I laughed about it. I said, oh, okay, why don't we fight? You know, and he said, okay, no problem. He said, all right, we'll sign the contract, this and that. I even made up a contract. I made my own damn contract. And I signed that shit. I sent it to his gym and I heard nothing. What I heard was the next day he blocked me on Instagram, he blocked me on all social media and had nothing to say. I called him out. He deleted the comments saying he was down to fight, and then it just cracked me up a little bit. You know, this guy's in Bellator talking that he's running Bellator and he's running this whole game, and then when it's time to fight, he don't even want to fight. So what I have to say, Anthony Pretty Boy, we can do a catch weight, 150, 155, whatever the fight may be. Let's fight, man. Bellator, man, in front of all these fans. I will whoop that ass clean. So you do what you want, you know, sign the contract, man up. Let's give the fans what they want, a nice money fight and a nice fight of the night.
More Red Menace TV in just a moment.
Garden Sports Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Rusty the Sports Clown here for the Rusty the Sports Clown show. I know. Thanks again to my good friend Kelly Schroeder. Check out this amazing picture she took. I know she takes cool stuff like that all the time. One of these days we're going to tell you how to see all her pictures. I know it's going to be really cool. All right, we're going to start with NFL stuff because you know why? Look what time it is. It's time for that sports break thing. Yeah, over here. Hi, sports break. All right, NFL news. Guess what? The NFL has some new rule changes. Number one, Overtime has been cut from 15 minutes down to 10 minutes. Now you're thinking, well, what big deal is that? Well, that means there's going to be 1 or 2 more ties per season. And you're going to have a few more players go, wait, you can have a tie? Well, yeah, you can. We're going to see a few more. Also, celebration rules, well, they've been relaxed just a little bit now. They can now use the ball in celebrations, and you can go to the ground and do other cool things, like make snow angels when it snows and fun things like that. But you still are not allowed to dunk the ball over the uprights, for those of you that are tall enough and can jump high enough to do those things. All right, on a side note, Washington Redskins cornerback Josh Norman, who will henceforth now be known as the Idiot, he says that matchups this season with Des Bryant and Odell Beckham Jr. are going to result in a lot of fines and maybe suspensions. Yeah, he said it's going to be bad blood this year. Oh, yeah. Hey, you don't want to tell anybody about that, do you? So now they're going to be watching you from the get-go. I thought last year was bad when you're grabbing them by the face mask and throwing them to the ground and holding them and things like that. Dude, I don't know. You're just an idiot. All right, NBA, check this out. Wow, what a conference finals. All the drama, all the excitement. Yeah, just kidding. Like I said months ago, Cavaliers and Warriors. Yeah, I know, shocker. Okay, Major League Baseball. Colorado Rockies, that's our Major League club here in town. You know why? Because the AAA Isotopes are their farm team. All right, the Colorado Rockies, they're currently in first place in the National League West. Well, the Isotopes, guess what? We're in first place also in the PCL South because, we're south. All right, it's great excitement out at the lab. That's what they call the stadium where the Isotopes play. So as I like to say, just go and root on your Topes. Have a hot dog, have a soda, cool stuff. It's going to be fun. All right, an Adelaide update. How many of you remember Adelaide? Okay, that's a town in Australia. And why I'm talking about them? Well, they're the Adelaide Crows. They play in Australian rules football. Here's the deal. We talk about him because Hugh Greenwood, y'all remember him? Tall, red-headed guy? Yeah, he played for the Lobos, played basketball. Well, he is now playing Australian rules football for the Adelaide Crows, and they defeated the Fremantle Dockers. I know, great names for these teams. They won 143-43. I know, that's like a lot, huh? All right, rugby, check this out. I was watching a replay of the New Zealand All Blacks, and guess what? Yeah, they're not. I know. Okay, one of my bosses at work, yeah, he tells me, dude, it's because their uniforms are all black. Huh, who knew? Yeah, not me. Thanks, Chris, for that info. It's kind of like that 70s band, a long time ago, the Average White Band. Yeah, they weren't. Okay, moving on. NHL. Guess what? It's not winter, and it's not the Olympics, but hockey is having their finals right now. Okay, it's going to be, who are we talking about? The Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them later in our prognostication segment. Cool stuff, huh? All right, Under 20 World Cup. All right, here's just an update. The U.S. team, they won Group F. And they moved on to the round of 16. Good luck. That's awesome. Do it, guys. Kick the ball. Score some goals. Do whatever they do. Lobo news. All right, mostly sadness in Lobo land. All right, Lobo Golf went to the NCAA finals, but they did not make the final cut. It was sad. Okay, the first day they had to play in just horrible weather. I mean, I'm talking horrible, horrible weather. But some of these other teams, they didn't have to play in that horrible weather. No. So the Lobos got a bad start right off the bat. All right, they finished 26th out of 30 teams. Yeah, not so good. So they didn't make the final cut to see who was going to, be the NCAA champion. Okay, Lobo baseball. Yeah, they didn't do a whole lot better. Okay, here's what happened. We hosted the Mountain West Championship, but we had a ton of injuries, and we had, this academic ineligibility thing because one of our guys, decided to fail a class in the spring. Dopey dude. All right. And that devastated our lineup, seriously. I mean, we lost our leadoff hitter, we lost our cleanup hitter, we lost a couple pitchers, all this. Yeah, so our lineup, man, just devastated. All right, we won our first game in the tournament, which was cool, but then we dropped the next two. Okay, it was double elimination, so we were eliminated. San Diego State was the eventual Mountain West champ, but I don't care much for San Diego State, so yeah, who cares? All right, moving on, Lobos. Okay, guess what? This is probably the only good news. All right, we had 4 girls, well, I won't say 4 girls, but 4 Lobos competing in NCAA track. They made it to the finals. All right, good job for them. All right, here's what we got to do. Stay tuned right after the Red Menace show. for the rest of the Rusty the Sports Clown show. If you want to see the rest of my show featuring Carlton Buttons, featuring my prognosticator, it's going to be cool stuff. All right, so remember, I welcome you to follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me to a Lobos game or an Isotopes game, because, you know, I'm very famous. All right, if there is an event, a game, a meet, a match, whatever, maybe just going to Grandma's for cookies, invite me, because I'll go with you. It'll be fun. That's it. See you next time. Bye.
Even Rusty has crabs with a pile of money.
That was pretty good, actually.
That was funny, was it not?
That was the first time I've ever been entertained by Rusty.
Oh, really? The first time ever?
Ever.
You weren't paying attention.
That's why it was so good. I'm kidding. I love Rusty.
Don't forget, Rusty's also here on Proview Networks for a spinoff of Red Menace TV. Pretty proud about that. You should be happy about that. You now have a spinoff on television.
Why should I be happy
You're like
about
Archie Bunker and the Jeffersons.
The clown gets a spinoff. I'm still stuck here.
You're like Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. I don't know. I'm reaching.
You're reaching.
Hey, speaking of reaching and money and everything else, we did touch a little bit about it with Rudy Chavez, and it's like as the Krebs turns. You want to call it that?
Oh, it's turning. Sure.
It's turning. Obviously, you guys have been receiving phone calls on 610 The Sports Channel. Or has it calmed down yet? Has it slowed down, or?
A little bit.
I know that last week when we taped, that was prior to the.
Definitely prior to the Attorney General.
Right.
Getting involved.
So,
I don't remember if Tim Keller, the state auditor, was involved at that point. But yeah.
No, you know what? He wasn't, because I remember we talked at the end of the show, and I said, look, they're going to have to call an auditor in. And I didn't even know at that point that they already were.
The latest, and most of you probably know this, the state auditor, Tim Keller, is investigating, as is the state attorney general, Hector Balderas. Look, one way or the other, this is ultimately good for UNM, I feel like. If those who feel like money was misused are right, well, this will show that, and you can correct those problems and restore the people's trust. If nothing happened, and nobody intentionally did anything wrong, well, this investigation will bear that out as well. Same end result. You can start to restore the public's trust in the athletic department, you know, as far as the handling of the money. So ultimately, this is a good thing for UNM. The process is going to have to play out. We don't know how long the investigations are going to take, but they are underway, and they'll either prove something nefarious happened, or this is much ado about nothing.
So for the straight sports fan, and I'm just talking for the sports fan perspective, if they can get to the season and they start winning football and basketball, I don't think anybody cares anymore. I think it's just a fact, once again, that they didn't come off a winning season in basketball. The way everything fell apart the last year, especially the last season, but the year before, I mean, you could throw that in there. Not winning when it comes to sports fans, and in this state, and I think it's everywhere, not winning, that's when the rest of this business starts coming about. You win, people don't care.
That's 100% not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
I said for the sports fan. I'm not talking about for the media. I'm not talking about for the like Keller or Balderas or certain people. But I think sports fans, they just care about winning or losing.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, basketball has been down the last couple of years. So sports fans dreamed up this whole.
No, they didn't dream up anything. I just think it wouldn't be a big deal.
Oh, it would absolutely be a big deal.
No, I don't think it would.
The insinuation that a state official misused public funds is always a big deal. It's always a big deal. Whether or not that actually happened, time will tell with these investigations, but that's absolutely a big deal. And you're kidding yourself if you think it's...
Oh, I'm not kidding myself. I honestly think that if it wasn't for the fact that they were losing, I think the majority of people wouldn't really care. I mean, that's really the way sports fans are. It's all about winning and losing. I think once you start losing and once you start getting a perception that you're programmed, then you start looking for everything else that went wrong.
So Larry Barker was upset because basketball...
No, I didn't say Larry Barker was. I'm saying the fans...
That's where all this came
I'm
from.
talking about the fans caring or not caring. They just won't care. I mean, Larry Barker could do a million stories and people are going to be like, who cares? We're going to the NCAA tournament.
Sure you care, and here's why you still care.
Yeah.
And you know this because you've been here all your life. Lobo fans are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. When things are going well,
That's true. That part's true.
Basketball is going great. We're going to the NCAA tournament.
I mean, we talked about.
Are we going to lose before we get to the Sweet 16?
Yeah.
You're always waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Yeah, we talked about that with Ray Birmingham, and then what happened there is like started off great RPI, everything was going good. Bam! All of a sudden we get some injuries and a guy that doesn't make the grades, and all of a sudden the program falls. You know, you don't get there. The only team that really made it to the Sweet 16, and that's because it was here hosted in Dreamstyle Arena. It wasn't called that then, but I'll call it that now. Was the women's basketball team under Don Flanagan. Yeah. And then the other shoe dropped a little later on. But yeah, you're right. I guess in that point you're right. But I just think if it doesn't affect wins and losses, most people just don't really care.
It's actually a bigger deal if
I'm not saying it's not a big
deal. If basketball's going well, if football's going well, because you don't want anything to disrupt the apple cart. And if things are going well and then something like this comes about and there's investigations and attorney generals and state auditors are looking at things, then you're like, oh crap, are they going to find something that's going to derail everything?
See, and I hear the people calling your show and on regular basis, like, are we going to talk sports now? I mean, I'm tired of talking about.
You don't listen to my show much, do you?
Oh, I do.
Well, apparently not.
No, I do. I really do.
Apparently not.
Oh no, you have the other side too. Don't get me wrong.
Oh sure.
I understand that.
No, and there's nothing wrong with putting your head in the sand like an ostrich. But if you pay taxes and you care about the athletic department and you care about the university, right or wrong, good or bad, you should care about this.
Oh,
if you don't, that's fine.
I don't.
That's your prerogative, but you should.
But I think Rudy explained it best. All the money that goes into the general fund. We don't know whether the money that was used for this trip came from six-man club money, whether it came
doesn't
from.
Matter because you can't use that
money. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it.
That's hence the investigations. If this was no big deal, Hector Balderas isn't wasting his time on this.
Well, he might want to keep his name out there and position open too. There's political aspects to it.
Oh, okay. Well, you're already going to upset.
But I did tell you.
Hold on. If this is all political, one way
I didn't say all political.
One way or the other, he's going to upset half the people.
Right. No, I get it.
He's a no good such and such who brought down the great Paul Krebs and you.
Yeah, remember that, Hector.
Or if he doesn't find anything and everything's good, oh, he didn't look hard enough. He's in UNLV's pocket.
Yeah, it's always going to be that way.
So this is all political. Well, what's the end game?
Well, once again, before you start saying I don't care, which in some ways I don't, but in some ways obviously I do.
So before you accuse me of not caring, even though I don't care.
Well, even though I don't really care.
Right.
I mean, I did tell you that there was going to be an auditor, and I did say if they did find mess, that Paul Krebs would have to be either terminated or forced to resign. I mean, I understand the whole situation the way it is, but I just think we need to wait and see what exactly comes out of it.
Oh, I'm with you on that. You know, we can all be patient and wait for it because look, it is entirely possible nothing happened.
Yeah. And like I said.
And if that's the case, the investigations will bear that out. If something did happen, they'll bear that out as well.
Yeah.
And then at that point in time, you can talk about running people off and all that. But yeah, there's no, investigations are ongoing. There's no reason to run anybody off until we found out what exactly happened.
We're about, what, roughly 2 months away from football season starting?
Well, we're a lot closer to 3.
Well, no, it starts at the end of July.
Oh, okay, practice as far as games.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least you start getting that. You start getting a different narrative in the newspapers and online and stuff. People start talking about.
Do you?
Yeah, not with football.
Exactly. I can point, and again, it's a shame, but I can point to football attendance that tells you that's not going to distract a lot of people.
Oh, did I just lose I just lost my guy.
Finally. Camera on me, Alden.
You got it all. Give it to Alden because look, I just lost my thing. Yeah. So with 2 minutes left.
Dude, zip it. Oh. I got this. Have you clipped it back on yet?
No, hold on. It's going to be
out.
This
is what happens, Leroy, when you don't care. Karma.
Okay, I'm back.
The TV gods. No, we're good. We're good. I'm kidding. You can bring it back on.
Oh, thank you.
Bring back in my co-host.
Hey, don't forget, call Rudy Chavez, 321-4567. $1,000 if you're a business person. 10 season tickets, the great season tickets. You get all kinds of other benefits. But give him a call. At least talk about it. Hear what he has to offer.
Yeah. Here you go. If you don't care how they're spending the money, but we all recognize they need the money.
Yeah.
And I say it facetiously, but I'm dead serious. This is a good deal. This is something that helps football, and it helps the entire athletic
It helps
department.
ski team.
Absolutely. It helps ski team. It helps basketball. It helps baseball. It helps soccer. Whatever your sport is.
It even helps you.
It really doesn't help.
It doesn't help you that much.
But that's fine. It's not always
it helps
about
Robert
me.
Portnoy, though.
Actually, I don't think it does.
Does he get paid from UNM?
No.
Oh, shoot.
But
never mind. It doesn't help them. I'm not going to do it.
No, dude, just unclick your mic again. But it does help the athletic programs that you care about. It does help the student athletes you care about, the coaches you care about. So by supporting football, you support all the sports. Go out and support football.
Absolutely. He's Michael Carlisle. You can catch him daily on 610 The Sports Animal from 3 to 7. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is correct. And for Alden and for Micah, I'm Leroy Lucero. We'll see you next week. Until then, God bless you all.